When working with essential oils in psychedelic therapy, it is important for the practitioner to have a deep relationship with any of the oils they're going to be bringing into the psychedelic space. The reason for this is because the journeyer is going to be in an expanded state of consciousness and very, very sensitive to anything that comes into that space. The role of the practitioner is to hold that space so it's safe. And so if a practitioner brings in an oil that they aren't very familiar with on a deep relationship level, then they're bringing in an energy that they're not familiar with. So it's very, very important to know the story, your own story, your own relationship with each of the oils that you consider bringing into that psychedelic space. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the steps and ways that I deepen my relationship with the oils. I'm not saying that everybody will have the same process, but I'm hoping that there'll be something here that will help you in your own process. So before you begin actually working with the oil, in order to anchor your work and know what the plant is that the oil is made from, you could go into nature if it grows near you, or if it's a more exotic plant, look online. Have a look at the plant morphology. Have a look at the biotope that it naturally likes to live in. Have a look at the sustainability issues of the plant. And lastly, check out any safety issues. Step 2 is really where you need time, commitment, and patience. Because my advice and what I've found helpful to me is that I actually live with the oil. So over 1 or 2 weeks period of time, I'll take this oil with me everywhere I go, have it in my pocket, and as many times as I think about it in a day, I'll smell it. I might be at my computer working, I could be cooking, on a walk. All the different parts of my day and my life are accompanied by the oil. And I'm not always smelling it and thinking about it and trying to feel into it. I'm actually living with it. It's omnipresent. And as I do that, I also bring an awareness to how I'm feeling. How am I feeling emotionally, mentally? How am I feeling in my physical body? Are any issues coming up for me or any themes coming to the surface? And I'm bringing that awareness to this relationship I'm building throughout the day with the oil. At the end of the day, I make notes about that. We always think we're going to remember, but we don't always remember. So I make notes about what came up for me. The way in which I notice how an oil is affecting me is a holistic model. And I'll explain very quickly how I go through it. But if you're interested in knowing more, on the aromanosis.com website is a free journaling guide that outlines that model. So what I look for at the end of the day and take notes on is, first of all, how was I feeling as I went through my day physically? Did I notice any differences? Did I notice that I felt more embodied or more grounded? Or on the contrary, was I more sort of in my head? Whatever it is, I'll note down how I felt physically. And then I'll think about my emotions during the day. What was coming up for me emotionally? Anything that was coming up from a deeper part than you. So then I'll look emotionally. What was going on for me emotionally? Were there any themes coming up? Was I triggered by anything? Generally, what was happening on an emotional level? And then mentally, what were my thought processes in the day? How was I doing mentally? If I was working on something that needed my analytical mind, was it performing, or was I sluggish and more in my emotions than in my thoughts? Whatever it is, in terms of my mental mind, I'll make a note of it. And lastly, if anything spiritual happened, if I had any, wacky spiritual thoughts, or I had some connection when I was in nature, whatever it is that sort of fits into that spiritual realm, I'll also note it down. So then the third step, at the end of the day, when I'm journaling or reading in bed, I'll continue smelling the oil. Often what I do, as I said, is put a little bit on my skin, and then it's very practical because I can just smell it as I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And the idea of smelling the oil before I go to sleep is hopefully to stimulate some dreams. any of the themes that might have come up in the day, I'm hoping that in some way the blend of the oil and my unconscious sleep will give me some more insights. And I'll write those down in the morning. Don't forget, you only have 30 seconds to remember a dream. I have noticed in terms of oils and dreams that sometimes an oil will reveal, as I said, a theme coming up for me, something that I need to work on, or an insight. And other times an oil will actually show me something about the oil itself. It'll be more archetypal. I had a dream of cedar that really fitted into the myth of Isis and Osiris, and I realized afterwards that the chest that Osiris was trapped in was made out of cedar wood. So it's very interesting to look at that type of thing. And then, as I said, don't forget to write. You can leave it open by your bed. If you put the dropper in, it won't matter if it falls over. And then very subtly, the oil will talk to you as you sleep. So what I've just described to you could take 1 or 2 weeks. And it won't be the only time I do that. For example, I'm holding Rukus, wild vetiver, in my hand, and I must have worked with this in a similar way 10, 20 times. I know this oil intimately. And so I am very secure when I bring it into the psychedelic space. I know how I react to this oil. I've seen it with many, many different clients, and I trust this oil because I have worked so deeply with it. And I think that's the key. It's better to know a few oils extremely well and intimately than have hundreds of oils that you don't really know. And the other thing I would say, the oils that I choose to work with, I'd rather pay extra money for a high-quality, artisanally produced oil than a cheap industrial oil. It's two different things. You can't compare them. We'll probably do a video about that in the future. So please remember that take your time and have fun. Enjoy. It's like meeting a new friend. You have such fun getting to know each other. And it's exactly the same with these beautiful aromatic plants.